Howdy folks, Kathy Williams-Devries here, and this is just a short video for me to explain why I practice long tone exercises such as the legato and pairing that with slow scales in 6. Now the reason to practice long tone exercises and legato exercises for a few reasons. First off is long tones really give you a great idea of what you sound like. I've really gotten into the long tones since I picked up the clarinet again late 2007, early 2008. What long tones do is they enable you to listen to what's going on, and they strengthen the embouchure, because I find I didn't do a lot of practice last week, and yesterday I thought, okay, I'll do some long tones, and I noticed that the long tones weren't one tone. I could sense that, I could feel that my support wasn't as rock solid as it could be. There were variations in the sound, indicating that the support wasn't as rock solid as it should be. Because ideally your long tone, you would want as little variation in it as possible. But what I was getting, and what you might notice, I mean, my embouchure is pretty rock solid most of the time, but if you find your embouchure moving, you're going to hear, I don't know if you can make that out. And also, if the support isn't as good as it could be, you can hear, it's one way of doing vibrato actually, is the breath diaphragm vibrato. But that's the first reason to do your long tones, is to make sure that the embouchure is steady and rock solid, and your diaphragm support is also steady and rock solid. And I find, having done half an hour of long tones yesterday and half an hour of long tones today, that that's improved markedly. Now, a reason why I practice the legato exercise and also my scales in 6 is to get a very liquid legato between all of the tones. And while you can start with just seconds, making the second note come as a natural consequence out of the first without changing any of the breath support or embouchure, because it's one thing if you're taught early on that a change of note means a change of breath and tongue, then you haven't really been taught correctly, and it takes a good deal of work in order to change that mindset. But while it's easy to keep the fingers coordinating, lifting one finger, it is harder to coordinate several fingers moving at once. And I did a video yesterday on how to go over the break, and I said make it easier for yourself by putting the right hand down so that you only have a couple of fingers to move. And it's the same with the scales in 6. You can also do the scales in octaves. I do both. The Behrman method for clarinet 3rd division has a very excellent octave exercise, which I do on occasion. But he's gone to the trouble to write out all of the scales and their melodic minors in 6, and they make for a wonderful half hour, also depending on how much time you want to take. So let's take this G minor scale in 6. You're wanting as smooth a connection between the 6th as possible. And you also get the 5th, because it goes down a 5th and goes up a 6th, down a 5th, up a 6th. So thing is it teaches you a certain amount of flexibility on the embouchure, especially when you're coming down from the higher notes down to a lower note, because if your embouchure is rigid, okay, what I was hoping for would is that you might actually squeak and get the higher tone. But it enables you to get a smoother transition between the sixths and the fifths as you possibly can. And a final reason why I practice my scales in sixths, and why you can also practice them in fifths, fourths, and scales in major and minor thirds, is it enables you to really grasp a particular key signature, especially in the minors, because you get this wonderful uneasiness in the key in the minor scales in sixth, as Behrman has written, because he uses the melodic minor. So you're half trapped between G minor and G major. So if I play the beginning, it's you get this wonderful oscillation between G minor and G major. And it's especially more apparent in the more difficult keys. For example, C sharp minor has a bewildering amount of sharps and sharps because you're going up in the melodic. Therefore the sixth and the seventh notes are sharp, but on the way down they're flat. So you get this dichotomy between being C sharp major, C sharp minor, and then being E major on the way down. And while there are no double sharps or double flats in it, you do discover these once you get to G sharp minor. It really enables you to get to know the key inside out, because you're in fact playing two scales. You're playing the scale starting on the tonic and the scale starting on the sixth of the sharpened sixth of the scale. So for example, this is B flat minor. And you're also getting the scale starting on the G. And the reason I mention scales in minor thirds and scales in major thirds, for example, if you're going, this is in minor thirds, and then in the major third, is that these devices are used in French clarinet music. I found that when I was at the Royal College of Music, that we had to learn the scales in minor and major thirds, which I then found to my advantage when I played the Bozza concerto, because I think in one of the cadenzas in the second movement, in the slow movement, you have a passage of a scale descending, I think, in minor or major thirds. I can't remember. But those are my three reasons, if you had been wondering, as to why I am practicing slow scales in sixth, why you have seen me practice the Behrman octave. exercise. So, by all means, have a look at the preceding videos of my half-hour warm-ups for the long tones, and hopefully, I mean, you don't have to do half an hour, you don't have to do an hour a day. I'm just doing a half hour because I have a concert in a few days, and I want to keep the embouchure in tip-top shape while not necessarily practicing too much the pieces as I already know them, but just going over them. I mean, I think I have practiced up to an hour long tones. If you're doing a half-hour warm-up, 10 to 15 minutes is fine. But you know, consider them the first meal of the day, your breakfast, as it were, for your practice for the day. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.